Translated and truncated transcript. Source, Ricto artist. Personnel ID, redacted. Individual security classified. Location ID, redacted. Quadrant security level. Timestamp, Hermet extermination plus 80 hours. Interview type, non-invasive. Protocol, friends first. Enhanced interrogation forbidden. All references to time are translated to Terra Zulu Standard. The Terrans were thought to be a peaceful species. They had no apparent navy beyond a few outlying system defenses. This is the tale of how we learned how wrong we had been. In 3764, the Terrans, also called humans, man, Homo sapiens, humanity, mankind, people, and Earthlings, joined the Trigalactic Alliance. They were one of only 26 species from the Milky Way galaxy, an unprecedentedly small number of sapiens for an entire galaxy, but they were welcomed happily by the standing members, especially since 8 of the other species from the Milky Way spoke of a terrible war in the Orion arm of their galaxy 700 years prior. My initial impression of the humans was their physicality. They had evolved from an arboreal species. The joints in their manipulator appendages, called hands by their species, spoke strongly of a climbing ancestry. This too was not uncommon. Many species had tentacles or scilia for manipulators. Hands were not unknown. What was rare, however, was the lack of claw, talon, or powerful nail on the manipulator. The humans were not carapaced either, another somewhat rare occurrence. No fangs, venom glands, armor plates, thick mats of fur, or spurs. Clearly this species had lived a sedate, leisurely life. Again, how wrong I was. When the first human ship was encountered, it transmitted a long string of code and noise. When translated, it turned out to be several mathematical equations as well as music. Ah, music. My species, the Ricto, love music, as few other species comprehend. Many humans I spoke with say that our voices sound like a singer underwater. I learned this was usually a compliment, never an insult, though occasionally a dispassionate observation. A species able to craft music like humans must have never known strife. Once communication became easier, we met their diplomats. After a probationary period of 50 years, the humans were welcomed. The art they brought, even with their pathetically limited visual spectrum, was magnificent. Their culture was wise and kind. Their diplomats soon proved to be the best of the 697 member species. Any and all diplomatic matters were handled only by humans. We thought them peaceful thinkers and artists. Language and art came so readily to them. Literature, painting, sculpting, mathematics, music. Glorious music that spoke of beauty, love, and family. And then, a new species was encountered, the Hermet. They were from Triangulum, a species none of us had met before. There were 97 species from Triangulum, as most sentient species came from Andromeda. When first encountered, the Hermet attacked with a relentless fury unlike anything seen before. No hails answered, no overtures returned, no peace offering. They were a Tier 2 species, meaning intergalactic, like most members of the intergalactic community. But physically and mentally, they were Tier 5. Barbarians, merciless tribal creatures, barely out of their atomic age and behavior. They overwhelmed one species after another. The Roka, a species with a strong warrior culture, was decimated in a week. The Hotaka, known for fast ships and precise junk technology, was run down in a month. Nothing stopped the Hermet. Until the artistic humans came forward. The first attempts were, of course, diplomatic, the greatest diplomats in the free galaxies, but it was to no avail. The Hermet slaughtered the envoy before the first message could finish transmitting, and the second, and third, and 20th. I asked a human I worked near why they sent so many diplomats when none survived. Why send another after the 26th death? Her answer shook me to my core. Because we don't want to cause another extinction. She spoke with tears in her eyes. Another? Extinction? Surely she meant that her species had inadvertently killed one or two non-sapient species on their homeworld. I watched her hands tremble slightly, and it seemed so odd that even these gentle artists would weep over a species from their cradle that had been gone for hundreds or thousands of years. And then we learned why the Milky Way was so sparsely populated. When the 30th diplomatic convoy from humanity was slaughtered, a message was sent from the human embassy on Awakia. The signal targeted a small, out-of-the-way portion of the Milky Way, considered dead space. No species, no inhabitable planet, no stations were found. It lay at the very center of human-controlled space, a deep quarantine zone that humans did not like to discuss. The code was incredibly short, terse, as the humans themselves said. It contained only 2 human words. Unleash hell. Oddly, the message was unencrypted. The first strike happened a single day later. Ships of an unknown design and shape slipped into a system the Hermet were attacking. The battle was over in seconds. No transmissions were observed and no quarter was given. The position of the movement suggested communication of some kind, but nothing could be intercepted. The ships appeared, destroyed the Hermet vessels, and vanished. Over the coming months, the ships appeared across multiple battlefronts. The Hermet began to fall back, yet these strange, blocky ships never slowed their assaults. The first Hermet transmission ever recorded was a plea for peace, a plea for the cessation of violence. It was ignored. Some Hermet vessels managed to destroy a few human ships here and there. It was not a complete rout, but each lost vessel was replaced, sometimes by 2 or 3. 10 months later, the Hermet were confined to their home planet. Then, the bombardment began. I have seen war, but this was not war. A week later, they were extinct. Only then did we learn who manned the strange, blocky ships. Once again, a completely unencrypted channel opened, and a signal was sent to Awakia. It was humans. Nothing like the artistic humans we knew. Harder, bulkier, sharper. They wore strange uniforms of black and red, adorned with medals and symbols on their chest and shoulders. They transmitted a single message. Extinction protocol enacted. Extinction confirmed. Returning to base. Hell unleashed once more. And then, they were gone. I have never dared ask a human what happened to the other species of the Milky Way. For now, these small, clawless, round-toothed creatures prove to be the most vicious predators in the 3 galaxies. Their music is still divine, but now, after much study, I understand why it is so beautiful. Not because they never knew war, but because they are so intimately familiar with it that they yearn for other things.